Good morning to all my friends and family, and welcome to Jim's 5 a.m. Club. It's another glorious day here in Sydney, a beautiful spring morning, and as you can see, I'm coming to you from the Royal Botanic Gardens, and it's an awesome time of year. Springtime in Sydney, especially on this side here where we've got the Botanical Gardens, is just magical. Let's do a bit of a walk and talk style of vlog today and touch on a few topics that may be of interest, topics that I've got near and dear to my heart. And what I'd like to talk about today is basically the damage that naysayers and doomsdayers do to each and every one of us. They're the sort of people who are killjoys and people who basically take the wind out of our sails, or try to take the wind out of our sails and try to destabilize people around them. I don't know why they do it or what the purpose is, but the purpose is never productive, because what they basically do is they help steal people's dreams away. If each of the architects of those magnificent buildings up there, if each of the architects listened to all the people around them who told them it couldn't be done, there'd be nothing but blue sky there. But as you can see, you've got these magnificent structures that are now monuments to good or bad taste, depending on how you see the world. But they were able to fulfill their dreams and get things done. But let's continue our walk and talk. And there's a beautiful garden around here somewhere. Here it is up here. Let me just move back up here. I came through it the other day and I saw it and I said I've got to come back and do a Jim's 5 a.m. Club from here, because it's so beautiful. The flowers are blossoming, and it's a time of year where you can't help but feel romantic. You can't help but feel uplifted, happy and productive all at once. Anyway, back on topic on naysayers and doomsdayers. I remember a number of years ago, coming across an economist called Steve Keen. He's an economist, an Australian economist, and he spent his life suggesting that the property market here in Australia is overvalued and it's going to crash, and there's going to be a massive recession and people are going to lose all their jobs, and basically calling the end of the earth, end of the world. Steve Keen, I don't know if you've heard about him, but he's an absolute knob, and I just wish that there were laws that would allow people to sue people who offer negative advice for the lost opportunity that they have. Now, whoever listened to him 20 or 30 years ago and held back and didn't buy property and just stayed renting property over the years and didn't invest in the share market for fear of the share market crashing as well, and didn't get married and didn't do this and didn't do that, you know, they've set themselves up for massive pain and massive failure in their later years, because if you didn't get into the property market 20 or 30 years ago, then you've missed out on 2 or 3 cycles of growth where the property market doubled, tripled and quadrupled over that time. Check out these flowers, guys. I guess the big message is that you can't bet against the Australian property market. You can't bet against the Australian share market, because if you do, as I said before, you're lining yourself up for massive pain. You're preparing yourself for retirement without many funds at all, and you're going to be relying on the government to basically get you through. So just like spring comes and goes every year, there's a cycle. There's a cycle in everything. There's a cycle in the property market. There's a cycle in the share market. There's a cycle in our lives. There are seasons. There are a whole host of things at play. But the most important lesson that I learnt as a young man is that you've got to be in it to win it. And if you don't get into the property market by a certain age, where you're young enough, you're employed, you've got energy, you're newly married with another partner with another income, you've got your parents behind you as a safety net. If you don't get into the property market at the time where you can, where the banks want to back you and be part of your growth and development, then you miss that opportunity, and guess what? Nobody will want to be lending you money later on, because you'll be a bit of a bad smell. You won't have collateral that is built up, and you won't have savings or forced savings that you've been able to show lending institutions that you are you're capable of meeting your repayments. So the lesson is very, very simple. Take doomsdayers' advice with a grain of salt, because if you could sue them, you could make an absolute bloody fortune, because they're just bad news. What they do is they make people procrastinate, they force people to not make a decision, and they instill fear, uncertainty and doubt in people's minds. And once you're infected by fear, uncertainty and doubt, it's very, very hard to take that next step, because you're always thinking that you're going to make the wrong step, it's the wrong time, and you're going to fail, and fail miserably. But as the experts say, it's not timing the market. It's not about timing the market, but about time in the market. So the earlier you start, the greater your chance of success. Many years ago, when I was a young bloke, there was a real estate agent next to my father's milk bar. My parents had a takeaway shop at Oatley, and next to the shop was a real estate agent, Merton's Real Estate. And they were lovely guys, and I met a couple of the real estate agents there, Con Bozinelos, who's a family friend. And all of those guys were aggressive investors, because they knew that with time that their investments and their leverage, because when you buy property, it's a leveraged investment. You put down 10%, or you put down a small amount of money, and then you're sitting on an asset which is worth 10 times what you put down. So if your asset increases 10%, then you've doubled your money. You've doubled the money that you've put in there. So you're using other people's money, OPM, and through having good advisors like a real estate agent who can get you started, then you're also leveraging off OPE, other people's experience. So the time to invest is when you can afford it. But if you're working, if you're young, you're healthy, your parents are around, and you're living in Sydney, then you can't go wrong, regardless of what the Steve Keens say in this world. I also remember back in the day, the chief executive officer of the St George Bank, I forget what her name was, but back then when she was retiring, she said, "Oh, property is overpriced, and property is going to have problems, blah blah blah, it's going to crash and fall." And I remember when she was retiring, and I said to myself, wow, She must know what she's talking about. Guess what? She didn't even know if her ass was on fire because the property market doubled the following year. So it just goes to show that even leaders in the banking institutions have no bloody idea of what's happening, because a market is a market. A market has a mind and a spirit of its own, and it's based on people's emotions and people's thirst for risk. And as we're saying here, if you're young, if you're bold, and if you're sitting on the edge of the massive Chinese economic boom that is happening, where there are currently 700,000 Chinese who have been lifted out of poverty and are now deemed to be middle class. Just being in a region in the world where you've got that much opportunity, you've got people who are going to be consumers spending lots of money, and they're going to be wanting to live in Australia. If you've got a choice between Beijing and Sydney, surely you're going to pick Sydney as your bolt hole, and you can go back to China as many times as you want. So let's finish off with a positive affirmation. I'm alive, I am well, and I feel absolutely great. To my friends and family, stay connected, stay relevant, and be careful. The most important advice I offer today is be careful of people who are naysayers, who are doomsdayers, and are people who are negative, because all they're doing is robbing you, your family, and the people that you associate with of your future, of your bright future. You've got to be in it to win it. You've got to have a crack at life. And if you're worried and living in fear, then it's not going to get you anywhere. 10, 20, 30 years down the track, you're going to be kicking yourself and saying, why didn't I take a chance? Why didn't I make a move when I could, when I had my family around me, when I had my strong income coming in, and when I was bold? Because remember, as we get older, we get more and more timid. It's just natural. You start to have health issues, people around you start to have health issues, you start to have dramas in your life. But the key is to act when you can, act when you've got the opportunity, and be on the hunt. Be on the hunt for opportunities, because the opportunity of your lifetime, as my investment advisor, as my share broker says, comes once or twice a day. So open your eyes, open your mind, and as was said before, have a go. Have a go and be the best version of yourself. And when you're looking back over your life, at least you've had a crack at life. Yasas, take care, and until we meet next, we'll have a productive day if possible. Bye for now.